Indeed. Now, we're going to come to Sandy, who spoke last week about sanctuary, sorry, it's a couple of weeks ago, I think now, about sanctuary cities. So I think you have an update for us, Sandy.
Yes, I mean, following on from last week's article I did on Monday on sanctuary cities. On Monday evening, Weston-super-Mare Town Council voted 11 to, I think it was 11 to 14 to become a city of sanctuary, despite growing concerns from the people of Weston. About 200 people turned up at the town hall to raise their concerns, and it was deemed a protest, which I thought was quite interesting, by the council. I mean, these are just concerned citizens worried about, whether the town can sustain this amount of people. So there'd been no public consultation on this, and there was a motion in place to defer the vote, which was overruled. So people keep asking, what's going on? I mean, Starmer vowed to smash the gangs, right? And so far, we're just seeing no attempt to smash these so-called gangs bringing in the boats. And it's causing massive division here. I mean, that's the problem. So is there a government operation fulfilling this role? And I've looked into the early European Union and what really happened. And some people speak of a long-term plan called the Kalergi plan from the 1920s. So I thought I'd take a deep dive into this because it does seem that there was Kalergi did exist. It's not a conspiracy theory. And he wrote a book called Practical Idealism in I think it was 1925. And he was the founder of the Pan-European movement, which was the first serious proposal for European unification at the time. And you look at the index for his book, and that there's a lot of talk about technocracy, elitism, and breeding and interbreeding, and sort of, there's a lot of, it's a globalist blueprint, really, and not one rooted in egalitarian democracy. It's rather led by an enlightened elite, he calls it. And Kalergi was born in 1864. He was of mixed race. His father was an Austrian aristocrat, diplomat, and his mother was from a notable wealthy Japanese family with samurai heritage. So very, very quite amazing sort of bloodline he had. But he was very, very entitled, and he promoted miscegenation, which is racial mixing, as a means of overcoming nationalism and tribal divisions, envisioning the future of Europe as a mixed race a continent, because practical idealism was really the key for understanding Kalergi's vision. And on page 27, he said, the man of the distant future will be a hybrid. He said today's races and classes will gradually disappear due to the elimination of space, time, and prejudice. This new race of the future, similar in appearance to the ancient Egyptians, will replace the diversity of peoples with a diversity of individuals. Well, it's quite an interesting concept. He was never really, he didn't call it a plan himself, but what happened is it was adopted by the architects of the European Union later. Kalergi had close ties with many powerful figures. He had financial elite backers. Max Warburg, powerful banker from the Warburg banking family in Germany, funded his Pan-Europa project in the early days. And Baron Louis de Rothschild, the Austrian branch of the famous Rothschild family, also supported his efforts. And he did say that the European finances and intellectuals were an essential part of this vision of a united and post-national Europe. So Kalergi also had contacts in royal families like Otto von Habsburg, who later became president of the Pan-European Union. Now, the connection to the European Union is that Pan-Europa didn't become the EU. It deeply influenced the post-World War II architects of Europe, people like Robert Schuman Jean Monnet, he was the primary architect of the European Coal and Steel Community, the precursor to the EU. And although he wasn't a pan-Europa member, his vision mirrored Kalergi's goals of supranational control. So we've got all these different people adopted his ideology, particularly Peter Sutherland, who was, if we fast forward to the 20th and early 21st centuries, Peter Sutherland, often referred to as the father of globalization. He played a pivotal role in shaping policies that promoted European integration. He was a strong advocate for migration, viewing it as an essential for economic growth and cultural exchange with Europe. His work emphasized the importance of open borders and the free movement of people, aligning with the foundational principles of the pan-European movement. The connections to the World Economic Forum and Agenda 2030, you've got the WEF, their whole global economic policies related to European integration and migration. And Peter Sutherland was an active participant in the WEF, contributing to the dialogues on immigration and its role in global development. So, we've got Agenda 2030 with the sustainable goals. This all links up. This goal resonates with the principles and advocated by Coudenhove-Kalergi and later supported by figures like Sutherland. Sutherland was behind the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration. And that was in 2018, I think. You've also got the International Office of Migration. We've got all these documents that prove that there is a concerted effort to bring this migration in. So the Pan-European Union, it does still exist today. It's headquartered in Austria, and it was officially recognised by the European Parliament in the 1970s as a forerunner of the EU. And we have the Charlemagne Prize, which is awarded to figures who promote European unity, and it was first given to Coudenhove-Kalergi in 1950. And, if you look at the recipients of the Charlemagne Prize, it's given every year by the city of Aachen, and you can Google it. If you want to see those who've been, rewarded for EU unification, the Charlemagne Prize is really the place to be looking. And it's a bit of a rogues gallery, really. Charlemagne was the leader of the Frankish Empire, which later became the Holy Roman Empire, who were the first to unify Western Europe. So in 1956, you've got Winston Churchill. 1963, Edward Heath received the prize. 87, Henry Kissinger. 1999, Tony Blair. 2000, Bill Clinton. 2008, Angela Merkel. 2016, Pope Francis. 2018, Emmanuel Macron, and 2019, Antonio Guterres. And just lately, in 2023, Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainian people were awarded it in 2023. In 2024, Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt and the Jewish Communities of Europe. And in 2025, Ursula von Leyen. So it is a bit of a rose gallery. And it's, the Global Compact for Migration, the United Nations Compact, that was led up by Peter Sutherland in 2018. So there is a direct link with the Coudenhove-Kalergi's ideology, although there was no actual plan. And we've got the migration and the 2030 agenda, the migration, the International Office of Migration. So there is definitely enough evidence to prove that, yes, is there a plan? Well, yes, there is. And the thing is that we're sort of led to believe that we are being in some way racist or right wing in actually flagging this up and calling it out, because that we cannot sustain 1,000 people coming in a week, which is what it's looking as though it's building up to. So anyway, I don't know I've been looking also at the Indigenous Peoples Declaration, the human rights, and if there's any lawyers who can help us out here, because we are the Indigenous people of this country, and Indigenous people and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of their culture. And it states that people should be provided with effective mechanisms for prevention of and redress for any action that has the aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as distinct peoples or of their cultural values or ethnic identities. Any action which has the aim or effect of dispossessing them of their lands, territories, or resources, any form of forced population transfer, which has the aim or effect of violating or undermining any of their rights, any form of forced assimilation or integration, any form of propaganda designed to promote or incite racial or ethnic discrimination directed against them. So, this is Article 8 of the Declaration of Indigenous peoples. So, if there's any lawyers out there who can sort of shine some light on that, because I think we're going to need to be able to fight back on this, because it's getting it's such a hot topic at the moment, and it's just being brought in against the wishes of the people. So
the wishes of people everywhere, Sandy, because of course it's not just in Europe or in the UK. It's let's move an entire population out of a part of the Middle East into some desert somewhere. It's right across the world this is happening, and it is an area that needs to be looked at.
It is, the wishes of people ignored across the board. Plenty to continue with there. Now, if you like what the UK column does and you would like to support us, there are many ways in which you could do that. So please take a look at the website where you can make a donation. You can join as a monthly member or an annual member, or indeed a lifetime member. You can also go to the shop and look at a great range of UK column merchandise, or buy one of Clive de Carle's products, from which we receive a small percentage. Now, the critical part with all of our content is please that you do share it, because we are, as described in this programme, heavily censored. So you are, in effect, the algorithm for us. Now, a reminder that our first live event of this year starts on Saturday, the 5th of April in Cheltenham. Unfortunately, tickets for in-person seats have closed now, but don't worry, because you can join us on the live stream. And we very much hope that you will. Also, a reminder that you do not have to be watching the live stream as it goes out. You have access to it thereafter. So please consider that. Not many days to go. Now, tomorrow we have an interview going out with Carl Schwartz, an interview that Brian has conducted. He's the author of One Way Ticket to Crawford, Texas. A conservative Republican speaks out. And this concerns the attack on the World Trade Center, a day that few people can forget. But that day did not happen out of the blue, and in reality, the attack was a Pearl Harbor to justify a shift in Bush-Cheney oil strategy. Of course, trillions of dollars in oil and gas money being at stake there. So please do tune in to that interview at 1:00 tomorrow, and Mike can give us a quick brief on yesterday's interview with Catherine Austin-Fitts.
Yeah, if you didn't see that yesterday, do get a look at it. It's on the UK column website now. Catherine talking about Trump's continuing building of the technocratic infrastructure in the United States. She talks about CBDCs, about digital ID, and a whole bunch of other related topics. So please join us for that.
Indeed. And then in Lisbon, Northern Ireland, we've got coming up on Monday the 7th, a conference, What's Wrong with Sex Education? Obviously a theme that we've covered a lot in recent times, particularly with regard to interviews run by the Family Education Trust. So please do take a look at that, a great range of speakers, and no doubt a very worthy event, which